Hey, it's Carl again. Okay, so thanks for stopping by. As you can see, we're in Command Central. The office is really exploding. Both of the conference rooms are chock full of clients, and so I'm going to go ahead and make this video today in the office. So please forgive the mess. Now, today we're going to cover the all-important subject of a pre-listing package. Okay? Now, if you're not doing a pre-listing package as part of your presentation for listings, then you're really losing out. Okay, you're losing and you're missing the boat. And I'll tell you why. The reason why is because most of the top producers out there are, because it helps pre-sell you against the competition, okay? And it also goes ahead and puts into the client's hands something really tangible that they can see what it is you're going to do to sell the home and everything that you can go ahead and provide for them. So real quickly, let me just adjust this down a little bit. There we go. Okay. So as we open up the pre-listing package, okay, on the left, I just used some Realty Executives paraphernalia here, how to prepare your home for sale. This is good because it helps tell the client why they need to pick up the poop in the backyard and clean up the pee and all this and all that. That avoids that question when they say, hey, great, what do you think I need to do to the home? Okay. That is a killer. It's a time killer. When you're saying, well, I think you need to go this and change that, you can run the risk of offending them and losing the listing. You could run the risk of taking a lot of time and answering a bunch of unnecessary questions. And, things like, well, do you think we should clean the carpet? Then you start saying, well, you could do this or this or this. And, next thing you know, you're there for an hour and a half. You just simply direct them to something like this and say, well, that's why I provide what we call this tips for selling your home from curb to kitchen. This will tell you everything I always tell all my clients to go ahead and get their home ready for sale. Bam, end of conversation, you're done, all right? On the left-hand side, you go ahead and you print out all of the listing paperwork that they're going to need. Okay, so the listing agreement, any disclosures, lead-based paint, seller property disclosure statements, anything like that, they all go on the left-hand side, okay? On the right-hand side, all right, you go ahead and you pull out, you're going to notice that there's not a lot in here about how wonderful you are or how great your team is or how how you've got a, you got a Dalmatian or anything like that. I've seen them. It's disgusting. I've seen people who write in their pre-listing packages how they're marathon runners. What does that have to do with selling a house? Zero. Has nothing to do with it. So don't put it in there. So what's appropriate? Well, what's appropriate is obviously the first page, probably just put a little note saying, hey, thanks for meeting me. I appreciate it. I'm excited about getting the home on the market, blah, blah, blah. Next page, just a little cover page, all right? One page just simply says, hey, I sell homes, I'm a seller's agent, investments, whatever it is you've done, something simple, okay? Contact information down at the bottom. Next page, just a little resume, something very short, very sweet. Remember, they're not going to read this as it is, okay? They're just going to kind of look at it and see how many lines you've got, all right? Maybe something about your professional accomplishments, how many homes maybe you sold last year, any education, if you've gone and got your designations or something, maybe that might be a good thing. But you'll notice it is one page, all right? Don't put in a 7-page dissertation about how great you are. Next. Now, the people that surround you form a team, okay? And it's really important that you understand that even if you don't have a team, okay, that when you are selling real estate on your own, you're not alone. And you want to make sure that your people that you're prospecting to, your clients, your potential clients, know that you have a group of people around you who are here to help, okay? So then you might want to describe a little bit about them. So for example, on ours, it just simply says our real estate services team. The top says, my name and what it is I'm responsible for. The transaction coordinator is Debbie Allen, tells you a little bit about what she's responsible for. Phone's ringing, sorry about that, but it's a busy day. Turn that off, okay. It's probably the $1 million, billion buyer. All right, so anyway, next page, all right. Any team members that you may have. So if you've got a buyer's agent or listing agent, sales manager, whatever it is that you've got on your team, you want to put them in here as well and what their job is and how that affects the seller, okay? So that way when they start seeing, hey, you know what, I've got a buyer's agent, let's say, that buyer's agent's sole job in life is to hunt down a buyer for my home. Hey, that's great, okay? Now, let's step into some of the areas of people that are on your team that you don't necessarily know about. Obviously, your mortgage lender, okay? You want to put something in there like a notice that says mortgage financing and loan processing. We want them to know that anybody that we show the home to is going to be with a reputable firm, somebody that's not fly-by-night, somebody that's going to be able to pre-qualify or pre-approve these people and make sure they got the money, okay? And then you highlight their name in red and where they come from, and you go ahead and let them know a little bit about what they do. Your escrow officer that you prefer to use, okay? So when they're dealing with somebody, if it's your escrow officer, they have an idea that the person's bilingual, or they've been in the business 25 years, or they're from Tucson, or wherever, okay? Then if they have an accountant, that's an important thing these days, especially if you're doing short sales, because you want them to be able to know that they can approach an accountant, okay? So you're just simply making the resource available, okay? And next, relocation. Huge. Always want to make mention that you're affiliated with a relocation firm or any networks that you may have. That way they know, hey, look, it's not just me and it's not just Tucson, okay? We're going after buyers from all over the United States, okay? It's that kind of marketing that's very powerful. And so what you'll see is when people start comparing you, there's a guy who used to be here in Tucson, he's not really here anymore, but he used to make a huge deal out of this, and he did a lot of business simply based on the fact that he said, I have connections to realtors from Canada and from the East Coast and from California and the boom. They think property here is super cheap. When they're paying $500,000 for a condo in California, they go to Tucson, they see a $200,000 house, they think your place is no sweat, they'll pay for it in cash. He made a lot of money just promoting the fact that he had a lot of connections on people who are outside Tucson. So make sure that you say something about your relocation. Next, where do buyers come from? Now this is a great little graph. Now this graph, I'll be very honest with you, I stole it straight from the Mike Ferry website and colorized it. That's MikeFerry.com. If you're looking for pre-listing information or listing package information or any kind of sales training information at all, I highly recommend the Mike Ferry website at MikeFerry.com. All of this stuff is free download, okay? Mike's got a great coaching program. I've been in the coaching for a very long time. They taught me everything I know. They're very, very good. Now, check it out. When your buyer says, well, I want you to hold an open house every day and twice on Sunday, right? You say, hey, you know what? I appreciate that, and I get where you're coming from. However, did you know we did a study, okay, and we found out that really only 1% of the homes, got a little home there, bought at an open house they saw, okay? Only 1% of the buyers actually did that. But yet, 20%, okay, found it on a for sale by a for sale sign, and name, firm recognition, or salesperson contact. Guess what? 40% of the people who bought a home recognized our name or were contacted directly by us. So what we do, instead of spending a lot of time at an open house, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, what we do 5 days a week, we go out and spend a majority of our time looking for buyers for your home by direct contact. That's a great graph to have in there. Next, what maybe past clients have said, okay? Now let's just be honest. Most of these letters you probably wrote yourself, okay? And you probably just told your client, hey, look, do you mind signing this? And you stuck it in there at the closing table, and they're like, oh, okay, whatever. It's one more piece of paper. You know, Carl's a great guy. Okay, yeah, whatever, right? Look, write down just a couple quick things that people have said about you, okay? Hey, I just wanted to write a quick letter of thanks for selling my townhouse, whatever. But try to get very specific on your testimonial letters, okay? Don't put in the whole letter. They don't read the whole letter, okay? Just feed them a little bit about what they want. So for example, in this case, okay, this lady says, you know, when I tried to sell it myself, I was eager. But after 2 weeks, it was very aggravating. Thanks for the full price offer. You put it in red, right? With my lifestyle, I've owned several homes and dealt with several realtors. This is a good one for expireds. Not only did he go the extra mile in keeping me in the loop, that's good for when they're saying they are not getting communication from their old realtor. He even got his hands dirty several times. Nothing defeated him, right? Let's see. We're only too glad to write a referral letter for you. Oh my goodness. This is a good one. Okay, so this is an extra bonus point for you, okay? When you're dealing with a client who's an expired listing, okay, if this situation fits, see if you can write something like this down and have them agree to sign it, okay? Let me read this one to you. This made me thousands of dollars, okay? We are only too glad to write a referral letter for you. When we decided to sell our house, we interviewed several agents. We chose another company because he said that he could get more for our house. Turns out, he only told us that price to get our listing, and then when it didn't sell, he vanished. We heard from our friends that you were straightforward and told the truth up front. Now check it out. Do you think that if you're dealing with an expired or a canceled listing, okay, and you say, you know what, I get what you're saying. Believe me, Mr. and Mrs. Corley, okay, they felt the same way. And here is a letter from them, okay, explaining what they went through. I'm going to be upfront with you up front all the time, okay? We want to be a realtor, all right? So just a couple quick, just 4 or 5 little smidgens. Don't put in 5 or 6 pages of stuff, all right? Don't do that. A little list of references, people they can call, okay? Like your loan officer, maybe your home inspector, your escrow officer, your termite inspector, and like in my case, I put down a septic inspector, right? So those are good things to put in there, all right? Now you want to go ahead and jump into the actual meat of this. What is it that you do to sell a property? What is your plan, okay? Because when you're faced up against a competition, they're going to want to know, why should I spend 6-7% of my hard-earned money to pay you to sell my home? Well, this is the reason why. And this is my marketing strategy, Mr. Seller. You can get this straight from the Mike Ferry website, again, MikeFerry.com, and I highly recommend that you do. And then modify it to meet your individual needs. If you do something separate or different, then that's a great thing to do, okay? The first one, obviously, outlines the objectives. What it is that you're trying to do. What's your mission, okay? The mission for a realtor is very simple. Number one, to assist in getting as many qualified buyers in as possible into the home until it's sold. Would you agree with me if you're telling a seller, that is my main mission, to get as many buyers to sell into your home as possible? They're going to agree with that? Absolutely. The next, to communicate to you weekly the results of our activities so they know exactly where you're at, exactly what's going on, so there's no questions, right? And then third, to assist you in negotiating the highest dollar value between you and the buyer. I mean, I can't make it any simpler than this, okay? Mike Ferry has laid this out for us. This is straight off his site, okay? Now, I've added a couple things that I do that's a little bit different, but for the most part, everybody else is the same. We all do the same things, okay? Now, some of the other stuff. Market trends, all right? You may want to put in, now do not put in huge amounts of stuff, you know, 5 years worth of, you know, CMA for the last 5 years of that subdivision. Just maybe a little quick thing. A one-line CMA would be a great place for that, and put it right there, right behind that sheet. Next is your home, okay? You want to take, if it's an expired listing, go ahead and make a copy of that, and then place that right behind it, okay? Next, any comparable homes for sale, all right? Just simply say, hey, look, these are the homes that are currently on the market. They're your current competition, but they've not yet sold. This is fantasy land in your CMA, right? Comparable sold homes. These are the homes that have actually sold, but they do not reflect the actual market value. Now, the reason why you say that is because if the market is descending, okay, and 6 months ago things were selling for 6% higher, like they were in Tucson, okay, we had prices dropping there for a while about 1% per month, okay, you can't reflect your sales price off what happened in the past. You can just simply say, this is where the fish used to be, okay? That'll kind of give you an idea where they were biting before. Next, approximation of seller proceeds. This is where you go ahead and you insert your buyer cost sheet. Okay, you can get that in another module there. You can find that in TitleSecurity.com, FirstAmericanTitle.com. I mean, they all have good websites that'll help you provide a cost sheet. Now, that's at the point where you want to go ahead and stop and explain to them, hey, everything's been said. I've done what I've done. I've given you my CMA. This is what you're going to walk away with. Let's go. I'm ready. And they're like, okay, fine. And they sign the paper. Yes, we're good to go. Now, okay, it's always a great idea to go ahead and to let them know in advance what they can expect from you, okay? So for example, what we include on our team paperwork here is a checklist of services, of things that they can expect from us. Now, this is simply setting expectations, okay? If you want to have free time, okay, weekends off and things like that, you have to set boundaries right in the beginning, okay? Now, the first thing is what you can expect from us, all right? Hey, I want to talk to you about your price and price reductions to stay competitive. Right from the beginning, bam, you're letting them know I'm going to talk to you about price and your price reductions, okay? Next, I'm going to call you personally every week. I'm going to let you know what's going on. The sign and the lockbox will be on in 24 to 48 hours. You and I both know we're going to put it on the day we leave. You're already over-delivering, okay? You're under-promising. You're saying it's going to take 2 or 3 days, and you're going to have it on there in 2 or 3 minutes is really what it is, right? Your first showings will be within the first 2 or 3 days, okay? So that way, if they don't get their home on the market or for some reason they don't get a lot of showings or whatever, they're not freaking out. They think, okay, well, this is okay, this is normal. And then you tell them a little bit about what to expect, okay? Hey, with showings, your agents may call early, they may call late, or sometimes they won't call at all to show the property. How many times have you had a seller say, you know what, this guy, he shows up and he didn't even call? Hey, that way you can tell them about it up front. That way they won't be all freaked out, right? It may be possible that an agent may schedule an appointment to show the property and then not show up at all with no explanation. Does that happen? Of course it does. When you're telling about them up front, there's no surprises. Most showings, now this is a really good one. This has saved my fat from the fire 100 times. How come my home? How come everybody else is showing my home and you're not doing anything? How come, how come the house hasn't sold yet and you're not doing anything? Everybody else is showing it. Look, the reason why, you and I both know that the only reason why these people are actually showing the property is because I'm doing my job and getting the word out. That's the only reason why these agents are showing the property, okay? Now, you can't really tell a seller that, hey, you fool, guess what? The only reason why they're seeing it is because I did it, right? You can't tell them that. But what you can tell them is the truth. And the truth is, look, most showings will be by other agents, not me. Now that kind of rampant truth right there scares the hell out of realtors a lot of times. The reason why is because they think that they need to be in this position of power. Look, the odds are 5,430 to 1. That's how many agents are on the board at the time I wrote this, right? There are over 5,000 agents in our board. Now, that doesn't mean that I won't try and sell it myself. See, people can handle the truth if you tell it to them. It's when you obfuscate and when you diffuse and when you try to hide the truth, that's when you get into trouble. And when you tell people the truth up front, how it is that they're going to have 5,000 agents with buyers, okay, and you only have a limited group of people, you tell them the truth up front, they're not going to be mad and they're going to understand, okay? Next, we will not run classified ads or print ads. Wow, that's going to take a big pair for you to say. But when they start coming back to you and say, how come my home hasn't been advertised this week? Hey, I told you right from the beginning, Mr. Seller, that we don't run ads. And the reason why is because 92% of qualified buyers, and you want a qualified buyer, right? Right. Yeah, well, they come from the MLS, the internet, and personal contact and agent connections. We spend a majority of our time, okay, trying to sell it proactively as opposed to throwing an ad in the paper and just praying it sells, okay? Tell people up front what they can expect. Next, offers. Now, I'm going to give you some advice here. This will help give you a weekend, okay? A weekend of peace, and it will give you a lifestyle that you can enjoy, okay? Now, if you've managed to stick onto this video this long, it's 19 minutes so far that you've been sitting here. Most of your competitors dropped out about minute 3, okay? And it's because I'm boring, all right? But I'm going to tell you right now, because you've hung out this long, I'm going to give you peace of mind, okay, for your weekend. Here's how you do it. On offers, okay, you let them know up front, and you go ahead and get permission from them. And you say, look, they're generally faxed to us by the other agent, okay? And they call us. Generally, they want to give you 24 to 48 hours to respond. That way they don't feel pressured. They're like, why does this guy want an answer tomorrow? Why does this guy want an answer right now, right? You let them know. We would prefer okay, we would prefer that we answer any offers from the weekend on Monday or Tuesday only, okay? On Monday or Tuesday only. That way, we can allow for other offers that may come in over the weekend. Now, check it out. You might be thinking to yourself, well, wait a minute, Carl, look, if I submit an offer on your property on Friday and I want an answer by Saturday, does that mean that you're not going to respond to me? Well, the answer to that is most likely, probably yeah. Yeah, we're probably not going to respond to you. And the reason why is pretty simple, okay? Because my clients, most of the time on the weekends, they have lives, and most of the time, hey, they might be out of town. So Mr. and Mrs. Seller, look, most of my sellers are out of town or on the weekends, or they're very busy and they're very hard to get a hold of. Is it okay if I just tell the other agent, you know, hey, look, I can't really get a hold of them just yet. Let me get back to you on Monday. Most of the other agents you talk to are going to be okay with that most of the time. Now, I know right now I'm here, I can feel it through the computer, okay, that some of you are on the other side of the computer saying, holy cow, I can't believe that. You're starting to go ahead and, you know, propose that we sit on offers. And yeah, I am. Okay, the reason why is, look, you've got to maintain control of this business. Your client, okay, your seller, all right, has a product. You have a buyer at Friday at 5 o'clock who's willing to give $264,000 for this property, okay? More than not always, but in the 16 years I've been doing this business, I've never had it happen yet, God forbid, you know, okay? More than often, they will still be there on Monday morning, willing to buy the home if the offer expires, say Saturday at 2, okay, or whatever. More often than not, that buyer's still willing to write the check on Monday morning, okay? And if they weren't willing to write that check on Monday morning and you lost out of them on Friday, then you have to ask yourself, how motivated was that buyer to begin with? If you busted your ass and you went out and you had that seller sign this offer and it's, you know, 1 o'clock on Tuesday, you jetted into the office and you got it to the other agent, okay, and you busted your hump to get it all done, all right, and that buyer is that flaky that they were going to walk anyway if they didn't get it their way, is that really the kind of deal you want to deal with? I mean, think it through. Okay, you got a 10-day inspection period coming up. You've got inspections. You've got all these other, you know, minutia that you've got to go through, and inspections and appraisals and problems and conditions. And look, if the first little slightest problem comes and they jet, well, guess what? You're going to have a hell of a time getting through a 30 to 45-day escrow period when there are some serious problems more than just not getting your answer that day. I acknowledge that we live in a society where people want to live and get an answer right away, and I get that. But sometimes for your seller, especially if you've got a great property, okay, you want to make sure that your property is exposed over the weekend. If most people, okay, are out on Friday, okay, making offers, and they want an answer by Saturday morning at noon or Saturday at noon or whatever, okay, there's a very high likelihood that someone else will be looking at the property on Saturday and Sunday as well and make an offer. So in reality, you're doing your seller a favor because you're exposing the property for a longer period of time to more people who have time off to go look at it. You might pull up another multiple counter offer, okay? You might be able to get another offer and jack up the price, and that's a great thing. And what's more is the seller gets to enjoy their weekend. They get to take the kids down to soccer. If you think the seller can't wait to sit around and sign contracts with you, you got another thing coming. They don't, okay? They want to get their home sold and get it over with. That's true, but they also have a family life, and you know this. If you've been selling real estate for longer than 6 months, you know that sellers, a lot of times, okay, they'll put your deal on the back burner because they got to take the kid to soccer, okay? It's just the way it works. Be aware of that and help them get what they want. Now, enough preaching. Now, have you ever had that circumstance where the seller says, oh my God, I can't believe they sent this ridiculously low offer. This offer is horrible. And then they're about to rip it up, okay? and you said, you grab it out of their hands, okay, and you stop them, all right? And it looks like I went a little overboard on that one, so let me grab it. But basically, sorry about that. Never told you I was a professional videographer here. Basically, when you let them know right from the beginning, look, most offers will start out very low. I mean, big, bold, very low, okay? This is to be expected. Your options are to accept or to counter, but not to reject. Those are not options for you, okay? We would rather have the buyer be responsible for not continuing to negotiate. This is a good strategy, and the reason why it's a good strategy is because this will allow the conversation to continue. As long as the parties are talking, there's a chance to make this deal happen. If, on the other hand, your seller says, screw you, I'm not going to deal with it, okay? You got no water. You got nothing to do. You got no negotiation power, and you're out, okay? If you let them know up front, hey, most of the time that's what happens. They come out very low. Don't take it personally. Okay? Happens all the time. When you pre-sell them on this idea, then they don't get all bent out of shape. Okay? When they get that offer, they're like, oh yeah, this is like Carl said it would be. Okay, that's no big deal. Yeah, we can handle this. Okay, we got a counter. So that's all it is. We just got a counter. When you can reach me. Now, as long as you're telling them up front, okay, the boundaries of what to expect, then the chances are they'll respect it, okay? You respect their boundaries. You don't call them at work, okay, unless it's something important. You don't call them unless they've got okay, great example. You don't call the seller at work and say, hey, by the way, let me ask you, did you manage to get that window fixed? You don't call them for that. That's retarded. You don't do that. But what you do is you say, hey, guess what? I got an offer for you. That's a good call. They like that. Likewise, as long as you tell them what to expect, okay, they'll respect your time. So you say, well, look, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to noon, I'm prospecting. I'm looking for a buyer for your property, and I can't take your call. Okay? If it's an emergency, okay, leave a message or text me, okay, and I'll call you back as soon as I can, which is at 1 o'clock. Okay, as soon as I get done with my prospecting, I will be right on the phone with you, and I'll make it happen. Okay? Now, if you have an assistant, give them your assistant's number. Now, we will return all calls after 1 o'clock. Your phone call will always be returned that same business day. As long as they know that they can count on you to call them back, they will count on that and they'll abide by that as long as you agree to keep that promise. Okay? Now, as you can imagine, weekends are our busiest time, right? If it's an emergency, please call me or Francisco, in my case, Francisco, because it is the busiest time. We may not be able to check back with you, and so we'll definitely call you first thing Monday morning. Now, have I said what the busiest times are? No. I just said it's the busiest times. And if you're like me, okay, I got 2 kids, my son is 19, he's out now, and then I got a 9-year-old and an 11-year-old girl, okay? And if your life's like mine, is hectic on the weekends, okay? And some weekends I work and some weekends I don't, okay? But the thing about it is that you don't have to, because you're telling them it's the busiest time. They may assume that you're out there, working and selling your home, holding open houses and showing buyers, which you may very well be doing. Or your busiest times might be at home with your family going camping or something. But the fact is that you're allowing yourself some time off, which is what you have to have. You have to have some time, okay? Now, we're reaching the end, okay? Our expectations. Our expectations of you. We've told you what you can expect from us. Now I'm going to tell you what you can expect, what we want to expect from you, okay? Our expectations, we expect you to be responsive when we call. We want you to let us know what's going on in your life, okay? We expect you to communicate with us. If there's a problem with your listing, you're unhappy about something, let us know so we can fix it right away. Don't let problems simmer. We want all those problems out, because if they start festering on it, they're like, oh, I hated that picture on my listing, was terrible. And then the next thing you know, a week later, my home hasn't been shown all week. And then a week goes by, oh my goodness, the offer they gave me was terrible. Next thing you know, you got 3 strikes against you, and they're festering up and boiling up and boiling up. And the next thing you know, boom, it explodes and you lose the listing. Have them feel comfortable telling you about problems. Next, we expect you to keep the home as clean as possible, okay? Now, this is so the buyers remember for its beauty, not for its, dirty, okay? You don't want them to say, oh my God, that's that one house with the socks everywhere, right? And we expect your referrals. If we're gonna be spending all of our time looking for a buyer for you, we don't have a whole lot of time looking for new business. So we expect your referrals. If you think that we're doing a good job, hey, we want you to refer those friends and family to us, okay? So that is the pre-listing package. I hope it's been of value to you. I know it's been a long video. I thank you for sitting in. And if there's any other questions we can help you with, then feel free to go ahead and call or email or leave a comment. So feel free to leave comments, subscribe, rate, that sort of thing down below. We'll appreciate it. We'll look forward to seeing you on the next video. Have a great day.